Hey, Andy. Hey, Harry.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys doing?
Living the dream life.
Oh, okay.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hi,
Hey,
Andy.
sorry for, since nobody else is on, sorry for putting on the salary ordinance and then having to pull it off.
Okay. I didn't see it there, so I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, Chuck and Howard met with me this morning.
There's always a backstory.
Yeah.
Ah,
It's probably, you know what? It's probably a good decision because the bond ordinance is on and I was like,
You want people to work, you got to pay them. My son can't get work in his brewery and he's charging like $3, $4 an hour more than minimum with the retirement plan.
you know what? I'll be honest, on my way, I was out before I came back to the building, and I see a ton of signs that say that people are hiring. A ton of signs, like everywhere, even at like the small local businesses.
Yeah.
It's funny, I listened to this podcast called Robin Hood Snacks, and they were talking about it's pretty good. And they were talking about how literally this summer is basically going to be like the great finance theory test.
Based on testing capitalism.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Like what's going to work? Raising minimum wages, or getting people off of unemployment.
The Times had an interesting article today where whether you're talking about merchandise or products, you raise the price and then all of a sudden other manufacturers want to get involved because they see what the money's making, and then it naturally starts coming down. So their theory is, or the article would say, you start paying people high, then there'll be competition, and then they'll go back to where they should be. But they also said profits have grown more than the wages, especially since the unions have far less power than they did 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
It was a pretty interesting article in the Times.
Yeah, I guess we'll see, right? We'll see.
Pricing is fun.
What'd you say, Andy?
I said pricing is fun.
It's what the market can stand. It's only worth what somebody will pay for it.
I was always astounded in my industry what people would pay for something. When we tried to obsolete something, we doubled the price and the volume went up. It's just like, okay, can't stop making it.
Yeah.
And it's just like people would complain, but they would still buy it. How do you get out of it?
Yeah, there are certain things that people aren't going to give up. You know what I mean?
Like beer.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Like gasoline, even when it's $7 a gallon.
I paid $7 a gallon in Sweden.
Okay, that's different, Andy.
Most of Europe pays $7 a gallon.
Yeah, we're not Europe.
They tax the living daylights out of it. That's
Yeah,
why.
no, it's insane. That's what, like when we were in Bermuda, that's what you pay. I mean, you get away with it because you're driving a tiny little scooter. You know, the majority of people are driving scooters. So I guess it's okay, but
Otherwise, the island would sink.
they actually do. They do have you can only have one car per household.
Yep.
But
How's
that car,
Jacqueline?
you get a Yaris, it's like $45,000.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
How's Jacqueline doing?
I'm well today. How are you?
Oh, just great. You know, we sit here and we talk about all kinds of pricing and finances, right? So, Harry, you were reading it on the New York Times?
Yeah, online.
Okay. And then unemployment rates were 440,000 this week?
I don't know. I didn't read that.
My God, I couldn't believe how low it is. I'm going like, this is crazy.
Well, I can tell you the beer industry is doing really well.
Of course, there's so many people home.
It's summertime. That's when beer consumption goes up.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Matt is so busy. Hi, Dave.
Hey,
Hey, Dave.
how are you?
You growing
Doing
your hair
well.
long, Dave?
What you? I couldn't hear you.
I said, are you growing your hair long?
Yeah. No, my wife hasn't given me a haircut.
Ah, okay. I see her corner still there.
Yeah, it's still hanging in.
Hey,
It'll be a couple of weeks, and this room will get done. Then after that, we'll go to the next room. You know, it'll give me something to do.
well, I'm tearing out a wall just to get out a raccoon and her babies.
Oh no!
They're literally 2 feet behind this computer.
Oh God!
But I can't open the wall up until I know she's in my catch 'em alive trap. This is what happens when you're nice to predators. I've caught her in my chicken coop. I've caught her in my grain coop. I've caught her on the roof. I caught her in the window trying to get in the chicken coop, and I let her go. Now she decides this guy is okay. I'm going to go live in his bedroom.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Literally a half-inch of sheetrock separates her and where my son's dog sleeps.
Oh boy! Oh no! I had that where a raccoon got trapped in my garage and tried to. He almost clawed through he got through the sheetrock and he got into the cedar shake that was on the side of the garage. He almost got through it, but I was able to get him out of there before it happened. They're nasty pieces.
In our old house, we had one in our chimney with its babies.
Oh, my God.
Oh boy!
Mm-hmm.
I've been
Yeah.
trying for 3 weeks. I got one baby. I got little holes under the molding, and this one was just crawling. I just reached in and hurried up and grabbed it out. Gave
They
the
are really
animal
cute.
when I was a kid, I had pet raccoons, but I also know the damage they can do.
Yeah, for sure.
But what am I gonna do? I open the wall and she's sitting. Then it's gonna be a battle. It's not gonna be good for her.
That's an easy battle.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get there. As I'm looking in a chicken coop with a chicken mouth, like, oh, look what I have. The Catch 'em Live trap's got cupcakes in it today, so let's see if she goes for that.
Oh boy. Paul, Mike's daughter graduated college, huh?
Yeah, Townsend.
Cool. There you go.
Boy, that 4 years went fast.
Yeah, sure did, didn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah, he just posted something. So Danelle, why did you send, or actually Jacqueline, why did you send the revision just for the drawings, the prints?
And also because we had the appointments and with the office, so for Harry to move up to alternate 1 and then Scott for alternate 2, but Scott will not be on until the next meeting.
Okay.
And I added the pictures from Howie.
So the pictures for up till 2018, so we don't have 2019 or 2020 in there either, do we?
That's all that Howie sent me, but I will ask him.
When I say pictures, those were the maps.
No, the pictures I added were of the signage at the pump stations. They were the last 3 slides. I think 172 to 175 pages in the pages.
Okay, that must be the third. Is that the third revision?
Second, there was only 2.
Yep, my bad. I opened the wrong file.
That's okay.
One of this packet's bigger than town council, Harry.
Well, what was it, 167 pages or something like that?
No, this one's 175.
Well, I knew it was somewhere up there.
Yeah, I had to compress it and everything. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, because it wouldn't open
Quite
up.
large.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't open at the beginning.
All those bills, all that finance stuff.
The devil is in the details.
And to think that our purchase orders used to be like, they used to have a lot more paper in them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like it now. You just started, you're clicking near the end of my term. I used to have to put my hand in ice after signing them all. Hi, Kristen, Paul, Rich.
Hello. My computer's giving me a hard time. I had to go on my phone. Hopefully, I get it up in the middle of this. I'll be back to normal. I'm hoping.
Okay, I see the pictures, Jacqueline.
Can you hear me?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, we hear you.
All right.
Hi, Rich Warner. Hello, Kristen.
Good evening. How's everyone?
Good, good.
Oh, thank you.
All right.
Hey, Jackie.
I'm
could
moving
you-
them.
Thanks. It was so weird. It said attendees, one, and then nothing came up.
It said it's moving. Oh, there we go. I think that's everybody.
Everybody's in.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll call meeting to order. Regular meeting of the MUA. It's a statement of compliance pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 213, 1975. Adequate notice as defined in Section 3D of Chapter 231, PL 1975 of this regular meeting was provided to the public and the press on what date? I don't know. You know the date?
December. Yeah, it's December. I wanna say
22nd,
20.
2020.
22nd, 2020, by delivering to the press such notice and posting same at the municipal building and file with the office of the MUA, as well as posted on the website. Salute to the flag.
Pledge allegiance
Allegiance.
to
Flag.
the United States of America and to the republic for which
Which
it
is
stands,
One
one
nation,
under God, indivisible,
liberty,
free and
justice for all.
justice for all.
for all.
All right. So do we have a swearing in or we do the roll call first tonight?
We should do the swearing in for Harry and then we can do the roll call after.
Okay.
Rich, do you have there he is.
I do. Harry, ready?
I'm ready.
All right, brother. As you repeat after me, I
I, Harry Shortway,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform
all the duties of the office of
all the duties of the office of the MUA Commissioner Alternative 1
you're helping me out to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
and that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and of the state of New Jersey,
and of the state of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and I will bear full
true
faith and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Gee, thank you.
That's one down.
Okay. God won't be here tonight.
All right. So, Mike,
You do
Mike,
the roll
Mike-
call.
yeah, okay. Roll call.
Okay. Mike Fury, absent. Paul Carney,
I'm present.
Dave McDermott,
Present.
Kristen Wheaton,
Present.
Andy Pittsger,
Present?
Harry Shortway.
Present.
And for professionals, we have Don Albright, the administrator, Howie Leisure, the licensed operator, Steve Banowski, the engineer, Rich Wenner, the MUA attorney, and myself, Jacqueline McCabe, the recording secretary.
All right, very good, very good. So Mike's not going to be here today, so I'm going to give it a whirl.
We got your back.
Everybody keep your fingers crossed and wish me luck in my journey. I don't even have a compass. Okay. So let's go down to the agenda. Want to open the public to the meeting? Open the meeting to the public. Is there anybody on there?
Motion to open the meeting to public?
Second the
Second.
motion.
Thank you. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 No one is present, and I have not received any correspondence.
Neither have I.
Okay. Make a motion to close the public session.
Make a motion to close public comments.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Helping you out there, Paul.
Thank you. Aye. All in
Sorry.
favor?
Aye.
No, keep just roll me
Had a little
along.
practice.
Yeah, okay. All right, so item number 6, approval of the bills. Has everybody had a chance to look at them?
Affirmative.
Yeah.
So does somebody want to make a motion to approve the bills?
Just a quick question, Danelle. Looking at
Yeah.
the total of the bills being about $141,000, how does the budget look in comparison?
Oh, we're fine.
We're fine. That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the bills. I started vote resolution 21-32.
I'll second that.
Second.
All in favor? We
Aye.
gotta do a roll
Aye.
call for that?
Oh, yeah, let's do a roll call for that.
Okay, Paul Carney,
Yes.
Dave McDermott,
Did Dave?
Dave?
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
okay, Kristen Wheaton,
Yes.
Andy Pittsger,
Yes.
and Harry
Yes.
Shortway.
Yes.
Okay, approval of the minutes from April 15th, 2021. Somebody want to make a motion? Did everybody get a chance to read them? And if so, does somebody want to make a
Yes.
motion to approve them?
I'll make a
Motion.
motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second it.
And then can we do a roll call on that?
Yes. So Paul Carney was absent for that meeting. So Dave McDermott,
Yes.
Kristen Wheaton,
Yes.
Andy Pittsger,
Yes.
and Harry Shortway.
Yes.
Okay. There doesn't appear to be any resolutions at this time, are there? Any last minute things? No? Okay.
No.
All right, so subcommittee reports, pump station 2 transfer station subcommittee. Does anybody have anything on that?
I didn't send out like updates on these because they're kind of in my administrator report, but
You wanna
I
wait
know
till then?
we're-
That's fine too.
yeah, I'm still working with the auditor on well, we finally decided how to calculate some of the revenue that would be coming in from a transfer station. So I'll set up a meeting with Mountain Creek to finally go over those, like estimated numbers. So hopefully that'll be in motion. And then we did want to talk about, and I've been corresponding with Steve a little bit about doing an evaluation of the force main that runs along the railroad tracks from
Mhm.
pump station 2, because that one was not evaluated. And I don't know if you guys remember, because we got it so long ago, the draft asset management plan did outline originally in there that all the force mains needed to be evaluated, including that one. But the problem is that it does not have pressure gauges to be able to do like a pressure test. So I don't know, Steve, I know that you had mentioned you were maybe going to talk about what we could possibly do for that,
Yep.
for that evaluation.
Yep. So, if we were, talking $75,000, we could do a super duper test and get all sorts of good information, right? But that's obviously not what we're talking about here. Even the pressure test, so basically it's a almost 2 mile long pipeline, let's call it, with no valves, no, is supposedly, there's some kind of intermediate high points along the line where it goes from underground to up on a couple, 3 or 4 bridge crossings. And at those points, there supposedly is like, I don't know, some sort of ball valve or something, but I'm not even sure if Howie has any knowledge of that really existing or being functional anymore. But essentially, so it's a 2 mile long, 8-inch pipe, no air release valves, no regular valves. So there's really no place to, kind of enter the pipe, if you will, other than either end of the 10,000 feet, which makes the assessing a little challenging. I believe previously there was an attempt to, so for the other force main, a closed circuit television inspection, CCTV inspection was performed. For this force main, that was attempted a few years ago, I think it was, and it was abandoned shortly thereafter due to some difficulties that were encountered. So, and you could only do that for a very limited distance because you don't really have entry points along the way unless you cut in valves or cut in other appurtenances, which then starts costing money. So that was one, the CCTV is one kind of rudimentary method of doing a condition assessment condition assessment or inspection. We talked about, or Donnell and I, and how we have been going back and forth a little bit on doing a pressure test. There is some difficulty in that. Normally that would be limited to a shorter length of pipe, like maybe 2,000 feet at a time, not 10,000 feet. So it's possible that could be done, but it's hard to guarantee that that could work out. So one other thing that we were talking about is to take some what's called coupons, which would mean cutting out a short section of pipe where it goes above ground at the bridges, and just, because in theory those are the higher areas where the hydrogen sulfide would collect and attack the pipe the worst. So that is one thing that we are considering, I guess. Basically you cut out a short section of pipe that you can inspect, and then the pipe is pretty standard, so you're able to put in another replacement section essentially. But we're kind of thinking through the costs associated with that. But that's kind of where we are right now.
Now,
But go ahead, Andy.
Now, Steve, we've been talking about this. I know Mike and I have also. When was the last time this line has been walked, and even for a visual inspection?
Is Howie, are you on?
Yes, I am.
Do you guys walk this at all in the railroad right away?
I have not walked this since taken over, but yes, they have walked it.
Okay, and honestly, just a visual inspection of those crossings may be a good starting point too.
That was one of the things that I was looking at, and I'd be happy to walk the line with you.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether there was any other volunteers, but I'll definitely like to schedule that as soon as possible, at least get a visual, because I know Mike has had some real concerns with this.
Yep.
And at least start the process. But I thought there was a procedure where you're supposed to walk that line at least once a year, maybe twice.
Yeah, they've done it twice a year. That's what the schedule was.
Okay. can we check that schedule? Because I haven't, since I've been on, I have not heard that pipeline being walked at all.
Yes, okay. But I spoke with Danell about that as well, and in order for us to walk it, we do have to confirm with the railroad.
Yes.
Well, I guess that's an action we need to take then.
But I thought in 2015 or 14, the township paid like $140,000 and bought the easement where that pipe is, so we could walk it and maintain it.
Yes, we can still walk it, but we do have to let them know that we're on there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just for safety purposes, you know?
So we do own the property that it's on. Or have an easement. It's not on somebody, it's not on property.
Yeah, I mean, you have to go back. I looked at it back in 2016. If I could say, Steve, thank you so much for all this additional information, because I started bringing it up back in 2016, 17, and we thought it would be about $1.2 million to replace it, but nobody told me we couldn't get an assessment on it. And now this is the first time I'm hearing it. The other MUAs just did nothing about it. And I always felt that was the most environmentally sensitive because you're right in the wetlands. Of course, the railroad bed is raised. And Mike Fury and I walked it back in 2017. That's when we discovered all the railroad ties they just threw in the wetlands. And then the railroad company actually cleaned them up. Took probably about 10, 30-yard dumpsters worth of ties out of there, out of the water. So it is raised. It is, you know, we haven't had rain now, but it is all through the wetlands from Sand Hill all the way over to 66 Memorial Park. Route 644, I guess, is the actual number of burning crossings. So and I think that's every bit of a mile walk. And I don't think there's any bridges in there. I think your first bridge would be at Sand Hill. Howie, is that right? There's nothing in there, right, from that distance?
No, just the one where the river comes underneath Black Creek.
Yeah.
You know, the two of them, that's it.
How
Steve,
when
sorry.
Go ahead.
when the pipelines are walked, are there reports by the you guys when you go out there that are turned in so that they're on file and there's a record of these inspections?
Like I said, the last time that was walked on there was with Jack and the other guys, and I know it was scheduled for twice a year to walk them. But I do know when I did it myself, I did not file any paperwork on it.
Yeah, I think that's something going forward. It's got to be documented. We need to have something, you know, in writing, or just you can make up a form, a standard form, you know, with you know, whatever certain markers along the way, and that they can use every time. This way we just have a file of it.
Yeah, it should go with like our annual maintenance or our monthly maintenance. Not that you have to walk it monthly, but with that stuff.
Okay.
So at least we have it. Steve, I have a question. I mean, doing the visual inspection is like, it could be beneficial, but it's not really going to show us the actual integrity of the pipe, correct?
Right. So you're absolutely correct. So, you know, like we said, the CC, you know, like, I'm not sure what maybe you indicated this and I missed it. So I'm not sure what type of money we're talking about being available to spend on this. But a lot of this that we're talking about. So like if we did say for example, if we were able to do a pressure test on it, right? It could say that you have a it wouldn't be completely uncommon to have a very small leak somewhere, right? Then you'd be saying, well, geez, is it small? Is it big enough to be concerned about? And then if it is, then you know you have 10,000 feet to try to find this small leak, right? So even if you do that, and even if it does show, you know, if it comes up with something dramatic, I'm guessing Howie would know about that already because they'd be pumping incorrectly or something else would be happening. So if it is a small leak, then it's like, do you try to find it? You get 10,000 feet. How do you really find it? So, but correct. So that's one reason. You know, even the coupons would just give you a couple, you know, 5 feet out of 10,000 feet, but it's at least something for it's at least something what we'd consider the potential weak points. But like, you know, a lot of this isn't going to be comprehensive for the 10,000 feet, essentially.
You know,
Unless we wanted to spend like 75,000, which obviously we don't.
and I'm not sure what the cost involved is, and it's something I can find out. But I know up where I work, we had maybe 2 years ago, we had a company come in and
Yeah.
and they did everything was done. I'll use sound as a category where they the length of our aqueducts, and they planted these sensors along the way, and they measured the sounds, and they were able to determine, you know, valve leaks, structural problems, things along those lines. Now we had to do that, and we're a huge facility, so we, you know, the money had to be found somewhere to do it. I don't know what the cost was, but I could find out, you know, kind of how much it is, and the company that did it. It's an option.
And so there's probably two companies, Paul. One is called Ecologics, and one is called PureTech. They have technologies that apply to both potable water and wastewater force mains. You know,
sorry, you said Ecologic and who?
PureTech, Pure Technologies. And they would give you very valuable information, but you couldn't get it for less than $75,000.
Oh, okay.
You know, the other thing that we're thinking about is just some low-tech leak detection, similar to what they do for water mains. That's another thing that we were considering.
When you talk pressure testing, you're talking about putting air in the line?
Well, no, we're thinking of more hydrostatic with like water, like, which is another logistical issue. Like, you know, for a water main, it would typically, you know, water main, or if this were a new force main going into service, you would typically do that with clean water and run a hydrostatic test.
Yeah. One of the things, I mean, I mean, leaks is one thing, but pipe condition, as you're saying, is another. So, I mean, I guess even a CCTV inspection isn't going to give you pipe wall thickness.
Yep.
But yeah, leaks and, you know, yeah, high points on wastewater mains is definitely a point of concern. I kind of agree with doing it, you know, coupon tests at those high points. I think that's something that can give you some real beneficial information. And how old is this pipeline?
85, I believe.
85 years old.
No, sorry.
1985. 36
So you're
years.
All right.
Not quite that bad.
So it's ductile iron pipe, you know, not ancient. So, you know, and there's not as much concern as it would be if it was 55 and, you know, another material, say, for example, but it's still something that should be looked into.
Yeah.
I know that the township, when they originally approved the asset management plan, they approved it for 140. You know, we're only getting reimbursed up to the 100. I think it's 105 that we got approved for from iBank. So there is the ability to have additional funds. It's just, you know, they pass the bond ordinance, we would have to take out a loan for it.
Yep.
Eventually, aren't we going to have to spend the money? I mean, what do we do? Play Russian roulette here and just
Well,
wait?
I was kind of thinking the same thing. I mean, I don't know how old these lines last, and at some point it will probably have to be replaced. Right? I mean,
that's not old for a line, though.
No, it's
Okay.
not.
It's not old at all.
I guess the question comes up because this whole integrity piece came up in multiple discussions over the last year, and previous to my coming in. But Harry, you were a part of this whole history. Where was the concern that this line is not as integral because based on the inspections we've done on the other section, the integrity looks pretty good, correct? Steve?
Repeat that, Andy, I'm sorry.
The integrity of the pipelines that we've already tested look to be in pretty good shape.
Yeah, to be truthful, for the one that was just done last month, we just got that information like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So we haven't dug into it yet, but I believe what you're saying is accurate, yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Andy.
No, go ahead.
I think that just because of where this one is, and it's running alongside a railroad, I mean, the trains don't go blazing through there, but you know, that in a perfect world, if everything was engineered right, they figured this out. But when you have that kind of weight rumbling by pipelines for decades, you don't know how things could get displaced and affect the line too. So I think this line, just by the very nature of what it's next to, it might be more vulnerable and should be checked.
Please to walk through.
I'm gonna close this a little because he just came in.
Close it away.
Yeah, the other thing, I guess in my experience is corrosive soils possibility. I don't know if we've looked at, you know, soils, if there's any difference. I mean, you want to find those places where kind of there's an intersection of likelihood for, you know, for corrosion. So, you know, the high points with hydrogen sulfide, wherever there's corrosive soils, where there might be, you know, as Paul just pointed out, crossings with other utilities or, you know, or metal, there's an opportunity for, you know, for galvanic action and corrosion. So I would think we would want, you know, that's in my experience, you kind of, you know, try to pinpoint investigations at those locations where it's likely that you're going to have that kind of, you know, the highest activity from those kinds of actors. So I agree. You have to do something. You know, you probably can't inspect the whole thing, but you want to collect some data that's going to give you enough of an inference about what the condition is and how much pipe wall you have left to allow you to, you know, resolve likely useful life of the pipeline.
Well, they have what they call sonic testing that can give you the wall thickness. It's done all the time, especially in the automotive industry. But you just have to think about. I mean, it just. Well, I guess what you're looking for is like a depression in the pipe, and that could be, you know, that could be time consuming. But if it's necessary, that's what we got to do. But it can be done, that's for sure.
Right. So you could like do an ultrasonic thickness test at, if it's exposed anywhere, or if you can get to it anywhere, you could do it there. But the problem is, you don't really have the comparison point to, you know, if it's a quarter inch thick now, you don't really have the comparison point of what it's supposed to be. You know, I don't know that we have that detail of record that it started off as a 0.3, you know, or 0.5 inch thick pipe wall, right? So there's technologies like Paul and Kristen were talking about, which, you know, which is where you get more expensive, but basically it can, you know, every continuously or in 24 or 100 foot segments, it can give you pipe wall thicknesses. So that gives you comparisons kind of along the way, at least, right? So you know that, wow, geez, this section here in the beginning is a lot, you know, less thick than the rest of it. So, you know, you could have an issue there. So even if you don't know what it was in the beginning, you have comparison along the whole way. But those are the more expensive technologies.
So if we did coupon testing, you know, where we thought it was a problem area, and then a coupon test in an area where we thought it should be in good shape. I mean, I don't know if we have enough information to necessarily discern where we think it's good, but if we have those 2 points of reference, we take it where we think it's worst, and then we take it someplace that we think it's probably, not as bad, maybe close to the pump station or something. That gives you a little bit of a comparison. And obviously the more data points that you get, the better information better you feel about the inferences that you're drawing.
Steve, how many coupons do you think we would have to cut out?
I don't know, 2 or 3. Two or three would probably give you enough information to come to some sort of, 3 would probably give you enough information to come to some sort of assessment.
Okay. Anything else on that?
I do not have anything else on that.
The other thing I have to add on that is that when they did put that pressure gauge in, when they took that little piece out, they did say that the wall looked actually pretty good. I know it's a small piece, but they did comment on that.
Okay.
That's good. Every bit of data helps.
I mean, and I don't know how the pipeline got built without air relief valves.
Yeah. So Howie, I'm sorry, Kristen, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think, is that may be a project that we should consider, and maybe some shut-off valves along the way.
So Howie, are you aware of these manually open ball valves along the way there anywhere?
No, the only one that we actually thought was a ball valve, or like I said, a release valve, was at the on the train track side by the river, right at that elbow.
Yeah. Okay, so if it was there, it's not there anymore.
Correct.
Yep. Okay.
But then down the line, we thought was another one, but according to Seren and talking to the past guys, they said no, they did not find any.
Yeah, it is interesting to have that long of a pipeline without any air release valves, as Kristen said. So.
Yes, but when I did walk it, like Harry said, we could not get down off the train tracks there off that stone because it was so wet.
I just got one question. I mean, overall of this, how was this pipe not included in the assessment all along?
It was originally in the asset management plan, and the former engineer put together the specs for that, for the force main evaluations. I don't know. It was before I came on. It might have been before, before 2020, on what was going to be actually done for the force main evaluation, whether they were going to be able to do this. I mean, this could have been discussed on the engineer, and the former directors could have discussed like this specific stuff where there were no gauges, and none of us really knew about that, right? So, I think it was just not going to be done, and then it wasn't brought up.
Okay.
All right. I would venture to guess, because of the amount of time that Mott McDonald was on the system, that they were aware that there were no gauges, and they probably knew that it was going to be incredibly expensive to do something. It might not. I don't know if it was ever discussed, these other types of things that we could do, like doing the coupons or doing certain kinds of tests or leak detections or anything. I have no idea. I don't recall even seeing anything like that in the minutes, that it was ever discussed with the board, but it could have been with the directors in the past. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Well, now, like I told you, talking to the past guys, they said that they did try to inspect it with a camera down from SWMA.
Right.
They got only a couple, I don't know, not a couple feet, but only a little ways, and then the camera was fully underwater.
Right, and that's probably why they didn't, they knew they couldn't do CCTV footage, and they probably knew they couldn't do the pressure test, because they're obviously aware there were no gauges or valves anywhere. We don't know if any other ways to try to assess any of the pipe were considered.
So
it should have been, but we don't know.
Do we know if these pipelines are epoxy lined or have any particular properties to them?
It's supposed to be The plans will lead you to believe it's ductile iron cement lined, which is, it's not the Cadillac way to do it, but it's the
No, because
standard way.
yeah, no, because epoxy lines came in probably in the late 70s, and that became the standard. So I was just wondering whether or not we have that or not, but we have cement lined.
That's what the plans would indicate.
Okay.
Is there any cathodic protection shown on the plans?
No.
Got a pipe in the ground with no cathodic protection and no pressure relief. Good.
Tell me what is the name of this force main? Is this force main number what? What are we referring to this as?
2 or Sand Hill?
Yeah,
right?
I call it the pump station 2 force main. So
All right,
force main 2.
Or Sand Hill.
DS2 force main. Okay. So one other thing that I've heard of is injecting lithium into the pipeline. I'm not sure how common it is, but it's something that is kind of unique, and you can detect it as you walk along the pipeline if you have a sniffer. That might be something to consider also. I don't know too much about it, but I've heard people mention it from time to time, injecting lithium into the pipes and then walking the pipeline, because it's kind of a unique gas that you can detect.
I was not aware of that.
Is that something that I know on the potable water end, we had used lithium years and years and years ago for tracer studies, and then we weren't allowed to use it anymore.
Probably because it's potable, right?
Yeah, right. But I mean, the sewage water ends up in a plant, and then it gets injected back into the aquifer or into a river. And I'm just curious if that would be something that, if we were going to add something for a tracer, would have to go through DEP, get permitted for it, and if they would approve that. I mean, it's something that we would obviously have to look into, but I don't think we just go blindly into that and let them find out after the fact that we did something like that.
There's companies that can tell us that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the acoustic thing has merit too, though. Yeah, I mean, it's a pressure pipe. What's the pressure that it runs at, roughly?
Less than 30.
Or less than 30. All right. I mean, it still might be enough to generate a noise. The problem is that you need places that you can connect to the pipe, to listen between.
Yep.
So if you don't have those, if those aren't close enough, then it might not be suitable.
Yeah, I was wondering.
Pilots.
And at these 3 or 4 locations where comes up out of the ground for a bridge crossing, I was wondering if it's actually exposed there at all, and if you could get on the main there for doing something like what you're talking about, Kristen.
No, it is wrapped. It's insulated.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what? One of my major concerns have always been this pipe is running through possibly the largest aquifer in the whole Northeast. And we saw that with the water studies, and that's what they advised me. And I just think we can't take any chances with this. And judging from what I've seen in the past when this whole line was built, I don't know if they took any shortcuts.
No, regardless, I mean, this is one of those things going to come down to, I mean, obviously we can't go willy-nilly with money, but this has to be done, because if we don't do it and something goes wrong, it's really going to be bad for us and everybody involved if we didn't do our due diligence on this. So it has to be done.
So it sounds like we need Steve to put together a little table on costs and
Okay.
benefits.
Yes.
All right. Anything else on the force main?
No.
Sewer Service Area Subcommittee. Donnell, I believe there was a meeting this past week.
We did have a meeting with the DEP, with the commissioner and the assistant commissioner of the DEPs, actually, as well as Senator Orho. myself, obviously Mike was on, and then a couple of the staff from the DEP, I believe, and Steve was obviously on as well.
Doesn't sound promising.
No, it's, it's just, we know the regulations, right? So they reiterated what the regulations are. They're not really going to let us keep anything. They're not going to let us keep our existing sewer service area. We're aware of that. We know that, right? But what Steve has been asking for and what we've been asking for months are specifics. We want the specifics of what properties they're going to consider. And it's kind of just been thrown back to us like, well, Vernon, you got to figure that out. And I mean, the amount of time that it takes for us to go through, and not us, right? Like our engineers to go through block and lot to see, what the percentages are in, what can be included, what can't be included, and then send it to them and then have them say, oh, no, you can't have those, right? Like that gets really costly and ridiculous. And we kind of just want some direction from them, which was the purpose of this meeting. And they said we would get direction. I mean, I literally, before the meeting was over, I got an email from Gabriel Mahone, who's the Paul DeMiro's supervisor, saying, we want to have a meeting. Let's get this done. I think that meeting's the first or second week in June. I think, Steve, did they send that invite to you? I think it's like the 7th or something like that. And it's with the assistant commissioner of the DEP. I think Steve, any correspondence we have with them, we should just start including the assistant commissioner of the DEP on it.
Right.
I'm trying to be positive. We're trying, Steve put together a great map for us so we can at least, the maps that I have don't have the blocks and lots on them. So he put together something really quick for us yesterday, which is helping us on this end to kind of pull out the blocks and lots. And then I'm reviewing it based on, the existing structures that are on lots too. So if we have to carve them out, then we have to carve them out. But we just kind of want to get the list done to send to, at least for the properties that are going to be smoothed out. And there's a whole other section part of this too, because and I brought this up at the DEP's meeting because Legends, currently it's vacant, but it's not always going to be vacant, and somebody will want to buy that property and someone will want to develop it. And the concern is you're going to hit a developer with, I don't even know how expensive the habitat, what is that called? The habitat studies are going to be, in addition to everything else they're going to have to pay to be able to either enter into our sewer service area or do development they want to do on that project. We did get some good information on, a lot of times municipalities do work with developers, and sometimes they'll split the cost, or municipality, knowing if they want the property developed because it's been sitting vacant for so long, they'll help try and move it along faster. That's some positive things we got from the meeting. I don't want to say, oh, we're going to have our approved SSA in 2 weeks, because it still relies on them to review everything. Right, Steve? I mean, that's kind of what I got from it.
Yeah, so I was, as the meeting started, in between yourself and Mike and Senator Oraho, I thought maybe there would be a little room for improvement on what was discussed previously, but unfortunately, but so Assistant Commissioner Vince Mazzei, he's someone that his history is more working on things like floodplain permits and stuff like that, but he's been there forever, and I'm a little hopeful that he will help facilitate closing out these last steps we need to get through. I will say that in a positive note, but yeah, I was a little disappointed that it was just that they got the commissioner on to tell us that same thing, essentially.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of where we stand with that. I don't know if anyone, yeah.
Disappointed.
Yes. I was kind of hoping, like Steve just said, that it would be, okay, we'll take a look at the, the specific ones, especially ones in your town center or certain residential areas that you're getting applications in to build homes, but that's not the case.
So why can't they just say, and we give them a map, why can't they just say, not this one, not this one, right?
Yeah, I mean, they basically said like, well, here's all the environmentally sensitive, this is actually, so that, and this is will be available to the public. So what we were told is that you guys had the maps of the red areas on our sewer service area, that those are environmentally sensitive areas. It was actually explained that they're not proven environmentally sensitive areas. They are what could be environmentally sensitive areas. And it's basically like, it could be environmentally sensitive until we prove otherwise. And the amount of time, as you know, the amount of time and money that it would take is just,
That doesn't seem fair and to the intent of, that's not right. That's, it's, if it's defined environmentally sensitive, then it is. If it's not defined such, then it's, I can understand that it still might be, and so I guess I understand that there might have to be a determination down the road. So what's the harm of us having it in the sewer system area and having, having the developer have to make that determination? I mean, it's kind of the same as any other land development application. They're going to have to do their due diligence in terms of what the site can and can't sustain.
Right. But, you know, if there's wetlands there, and the guy won't be able to build his house anyway, right?
right.
Down the road.
I mean, there are some, like some of the properties, and you guys obviously have the maps, but some of the properties, I was just going over a couple of them with Jackie before the meeting, and like the Wykert building, you know, it's like half of that property, I believe, is, they said is an ESA 25. Like it's all impervious coverage. I don't, you know, so I mean, that would be one of the ones we're actually going to request to stay in because of what's on that property. But it might mean that we have to carve out the existing structure that's on the property. Steve, would they include like the impervious, like the parking lot too, or no?
I would hope so, yeah.
Okay, all right. I mean, the good news is when we were looking at the percentage of the area that's alongside Black Creek, I mean, it's not a large, if you look at the map, there's some red that goes along the bottom of the Black Creek condos and around the outside of Mountain Creek's parking lot. It's actually a small percentage of the whole lot, so we're gonna ask for that to be smoothed out completely. I think that Steve, I'm letting you know that's what we're gonna ask to be smoothed out completely. You know, and I think some of the area across the street and the parking lot that's on Sand Hill, but across the street from Black Creek, that could probably get smoothed out based on the percentage that's not in an ESA 25. But yeah, it'll be time consuming, but.
So I have just a hypothetical. So this original sewer service area was laid out for us, and now they've changed it so many years later. Is that correct?
You're saying that it was originally like it was what they're
right,
proposing.
they pulled back property basically.
Yes, they're pulling back properties.
So what if, and this is the what if we had developed it?
Then they wouldn't be able to pull it back.
I know. So it's like,
Right.
it makes, you know, obviously they wouldn't be able to, but what makes them change now? They assessed it however many years back now. What made them change it?
Well, this is before Steve came on. I remember a conversation that we had with Paul DeMiro at the end of last summer. And I kind of said the same thing. I'm like, well, we could have developed it though. And how did they go from not being environmentally sensitive to now being environmentally sensitive? And he said, oh, well, they could have been environmentally sensitive back then, but it wasn't really reviewed in that much detail. So, and now it's like, I think, you know, it was kind of alluded that it's being more scrutinized because we're going like on our own to do it, right? Like we're not part of the county-wide, which I think the county's doing their own, correct me if I'm wrong, Steve. The county is doing theirs, but we're going for ours separately. So
Do we pay for these assessments, or is it just? So what I'm saying is, if we paid for the first one and they didn't do their job correctly, and now they want to change it, and we're paying for a new assessment. Is that accurate or no?
we pay our engineers.
Well, either way, it's.
I don't know if is there permitting? I don't think there's permitting filed for the sewer service area. Is there, Steve?
No,
That
no.
where we pay fees? Yeah, no.
Okay.
We pay, you know, it's been going on for years. So we paid our former engineer to do a lot of work on it. I mean, and she did do a lot of work on the expansion maps. I mean, that went on for like 2 years. Harry, we had a phone conversation with the DEP because they didn't do anything for a year. And then they said they'd have it done in 3 months and it's still not done. She went and carved out, I mean, every single existing home that were in the areas, in the expansion areas.
Wonderful.
So what are the
Spent a
next
lot.
steps?
Sorry.
So what are the next steps?
So the next steps are we're supposed to meet with them in a couple of weeks. I'd like to have the list of the properties we want smoothed out. I'm going to send that over to them hopefully before then. And hopefully they come back and say, yeah, sure, you can have all these properties. I don't know if it's going to go like that, but that would be nice. And then there are a couple of properties we talked about, Alpine Trail and Snowshoe. There's only one that's been approved by the land use board. The other 3 they haven't submitted applications for, so I don't really know if we'll be able to include those without having a preliminary approval by the land use office. Those are really the only ones that we can include.
Did we not agree at some meeting was just take what we can get now and move forward? Because this has been going on since 2014, 2015. How much money have we wasted? How much business have we lost because we have not done anything because of the hog tying that we have with the DEP? So did we not have that discussion where we said, let's take what we got and move on?
Yes, but that discussion was to do the smoothing out like they said that we could do. We met with the senator and the DEP to hopefully have a better discussion with them rather than having all of our areas removed.
I know, but it sounds like you're going back to picking and choosing and itemizing each line where we said, all right, DEP, this is what you're giving us. We'll agree to this. And then if, for instance, something on Alpine comes up, it'll be a variance with the DEP later.
Well, they have to, it's not a variance. They have to do an actual habitat study.
Right.
Right. So it's, it would be the studies that we would, like, if we wanted to perform them, we could do them, but that could take a long time and cost a lot of money. The discussion with the board was that we would follow the regulations. We would include the properties that we could smooth out. But we're not going to continue to ask for the large properties that they're never going to give us.
Right.
You know, the ones that are like 50 or 75% that are in the ESA 25s, even if in their towns, even if they are in the town center, they're not going to approve them. So we were going to try and fight that and keep going, but we kind of just said, fine. We were hoping though that having this discussion would possibly change that. It did not. So we're on the right path that was discussed.
So does that mean we'll just kind of have a footnote for those areas? Or that we're actually taking them out of the area? Like the area
We
with.
hope to get, and we hope to have the boundary moved.
Yes.
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
We hope to have the sewer service area boundary moved in some locations. And I agree with what you're saying, Donnell. If there's anything that we think is more important than others, or you know, it is perhaps easier than others, that we should get that list together and present it.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're doing that. I mean, a perfect example is the Kelly farm. So they want the whole Kelly farm completely removed, but there's existing structures on there. So we'll just carve those structures out. We won't be able to take the whole farm out, even though it was approved 3 or 4 years ago, probably 5 years ago. They don't care that they approved it in the past. We're going to have to carve it out and say, there's an existing structure. You said that we can have an existing structure. So that's that. And then if that property owner wanted to sell his farm and then thought somehow there could be actual, like, a large development on it, then that developer would have to go and do all the other assessments and stuff that we're not going to do. I mean, hopefully this gets buttoned up by the end of, I would like to see it buttoned up by the end of June and have everything approved by the end of the summer, but I have no idea.
Let's hope that's a good timetable, but keep your fingers crossed.
Right.
Well, thanks for getting the meeting going.
Anything else on this? Nope. Solid waste, stormwater.
That's me. I have no report. I regret.
Okay, it's fine. Bylaws, Personnel Subcommittee would be Andrew Pickster, I believe, correct? Muted.
And myself.
Yeah, it's Dave
Oh, and
McDermott,
Dave,
Andy
that's right.
Fitzker. I think, Dave, the one thing we need to work on is once Danelle and we agree with her is getting a good, clear model in the policy for the cost of hookup and what is it, Danelle? I'm thinking-
Connection fees.
Connection fees. So if we can put in the policy a model of, all right, the connection fee for a house that's based on one EDU, what's the cost of that? What's the estimate for connecting? So that homeowners, when they see this on the reference, they have an idea. So that was a discussion we were having when we were talking about connection fees with the attorney. Who was it that we talked with on?
We talked about the attorney.
Rob.
Yeah, with
Rob, our auditor. Yeah.
Our
Right.
when we talked with the auditor, that we may want to have some type of a good example of what the total cost can be.
Sure. As
So
long as it's documented, I think we're covered in every direction.
Right. So it was just a suggestion, and we've heard it a couple times before. So that's something that we should put on our to-do list, is look at that.
Huh?
And we have something else regarding personnel policies we still need to look into, which you haven't done. That's it. That's all I have.
Dave, you have anything to add to that?
No, I just, but I know that we've been talking about this for a while.
Yep.
And we were a little, we had to wait until we heard from legal. And now that, we know where to go. And it's just a matter of documenting it and putting it into, vote on it, make a resolution and get it done.
Right, but we're also still looking at the cost of connection fees and seeing what we may do in the future here, because they're supposed to be evaluated every year, correct, Danelle?
The connection fees can be evaluated every year to determine if they are
In compliance, competitive.
to determine, yes.
Okay, that's
What is
all I have.
What is the goal in reassessing the cost of them? Like, what are we looking to do?
So, so the connection fees right now, and this was something I was going to talk about in the report, but I can talk about it now since we're on it. We did reach out to the other towns that are in the Upper Wallkill system, and the only other town that has a lower connection fee than us is actually Hamburg. There's actually half of what ours is, but so I don't think the connection fee is like a huge. It's not a huge issue. It is a huge issue in Vernon, but it's a huge issue in Vernon because of the sewer fees that are then associated with it per EDU. So when you look at Franklin and you look at Hamburg, you look at their EDU rates and they are less than half of what ours are per year. So yes, our connection fee might be less than theirs by $3,000 or $2,000, right? But when they're paying half of that in connection fees over the life of being connected to the sewer, they're paying, $10,000 more than what somebody in Vernon would be. That's our issue. I think that will always continue to be our issue until something's done about SCUMA bills. But as far as reevaluating the connection fees, it's obviously a good idea. A lower connection fee could be more enticing for somebody to come in and start a business here. Make it maybe more affordable for residential to connect. And those fees, the way they're calculated, it's based on a debt on infrastructure. So I have been working with the auditor on numbers, and there's some things I'd like to see tweaked on it. And then it's up to the board to decide what they would want the connection fee to be.
But the other example is like Sparta was over $6,000, correct, Janelle?
Yes, but their annual fees are less than ours.
Yeah.
I mean, in the big picture, wouldn't it be prudent for us to wait and see what happens with SCUMA and our deal with them, and see where the prices go, in the future, if they do come down, before we decide to change any of these things, so we know what our incoming money is going to be compared to how much we owe. Like, we don't want to cut ourselves shorter.
Right. I will say, right now we're not bringing in, like, we don't bring that many connection fees in because we don't have a lot of connections.
Right.
And the connection fee will change when we actually expand and we start putting pipe in the ground and people start actually connecting. That connection fee calculation will change because, again, we're putting more infrastructure in the ground. We're paying more for infrastructure, and creating more debt. So it's a connection fee should always be, reviewed and revolving and within guidelines of what's set forward by the state.
Now, when someone connects, is it something that they pay off to us over time, or is it a one time they got to pay it all?
So the majority of people that have connected so far, they paid one time. The board in the past has approved resolutions. If somebody could prove, I think they had to have an application for a hardship, and then the board would have to pass a resolution approving a hardship over a specific period of time. And that would still be the case, moving forward. If someone could say, listen, $15,000 in connection fees just to the township, that's a hardship. I can't pay that in one fell swoop. Can you break it out over 5 years? That's something that the board could approve.
Okay, good. Anybody else? Anything?
Is it worth putting that into like a summary table for discussion? Or I guess you said you're still doing some.
Yeah, before I have the firm numbers, I would like to review them more with the auditor.
Okay.
All right, Water Supply Subcommittee.
We are still trying to work through stuff with Suez. I did have, finally, there's some guidance coming out on the America Rescue Plan. So Vernon did get it's over $2.1 million. We've talked about this before. We do have the ability to use it for water and sewer infrastructure. From what I'm hearing from other towns, from other CFOs, that the majority of people that are getting these funds are probably going to be using them for that. While the ARP does allow a municipality to use it, right? It's the federal government. Federal government says that they could use it for revenues that they've lost because of COVID. I do not believe that the statutes in the state of New Jersey would really allow for that, the way our budgets are on the township side. So really the only thing we could use it for is like infrastructure, or, replenishing our trust funds that could have been diminished because of COVID costs. So my best financial recommendation to the township still remains as water and sewer infrastructure. It's a good investment, but guidance is finally coming out. We had a webinar with the feds yesterday, kind of going over the kind of reporting that's going to have to be done on that. And then I got an email literally 10 minutes before the webinar started from the state saying that they've just created another office to oversee this, to ensure that there's no misuse of funds. The state cannot make it more difficult for us to get those funds, because that's actually, I think, written in the law that they can't change the guidelines for use of the funds or how to obtain the funds, but they can, because it passes through the state to us, they can obviously monitor it. So that's what we've got so far. I mean, it's a good thing that we've heard from the state, because I haven't heard anything and since the $2 million has been told to us. So I'm hoping that maybe in the next month we'll have some more guidance on when the money is going to get here, and if we have to apply for it, if it's just going to be, sent to us the way some other federal monies are. So that's it on that.
Anybody have anything to say? Any comments? Finance subcommittee.
We'll have the audit on the next meeting. Hopefully we'll meet, the finance subcommittee will meet. It's myself, obviously, Andrew and Mike. And we got the audit, the draft. I'm very happy with it. So we'll go over it and in the committee, and then I'll have all the resolutions and the whole draft audit to you guys before the next meeting for approval.
Well, the fact that I saw 2 thumbs up and a big smile from you, that sounds promising.
So that's good. It's good.
Let's just put it this way. I got a text message
You're
from
still
Danelle.
smiling, Andy.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I got a text message from Danelle after she went and had the meeting with the auditor, and all I can tell you is that she should have been dancing in the street.
Nice.
I just keep seeing 2023. That's my only, but it's good. You know, I always call it fund balance. It's called our net position. Our net position increased, but you know, it's a good thing to have considering everything that's coming down the pike with the SCUMA fees, to have that extra fund to hopefully offset the huge increases that we could see.
It was an improvement over last year. That's the best part.
Even better. That's good to know.
Right, Danelle?
Yes.
If you had to sum it up, it was an improvement.
Yes. Yes. There's no findings, which is great. So that's good. That's what a CFO always looks for. They're like, they go to the very back. They don't even care about the rest. They just go to the very last page and look at recommendations. So, I mean, I know all the numbers, but it's the recommendations, what the auditor says, that they go to first. So there's nothing there. So that's a good thing.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Very good.
So the next one is my administrator report. We went over a lot of stuff I've already. I think the only thing is the RFP emergency services. The QPA is finalizing the final draft. Sussex does not want to be a part of it, so we're going out on our own. As soon as I get the final draft from him, we'll set a date to post. I'll send it to everybody so you can see it, and then we'll set a date to post it on the league's website so we can get that out there and get some quotes. What else? I think that's it. I feel like this was that's it. That's all I have right now.
Okay. Howie? Howie's still there? Howie?
Sorry.
How you doing?
The report there is that the guys and myself got confined space training. Dave did come back and go over some more stuff from the safety sheet that he had printed up earlier. I did get most of them completed that he had. He wanted additional stickers. I had our sign guy make some signs and stickers. So most of that is done. We just have to change some wording on the new stickers that he did print. He wants hearing protection required when generators in operation. That's at pump station 1. We just had a hearing protection required, so we got to do a little more wording on that. And then we took the inventory that he wanted on our confined space equipment. We are up to date. We just have to change one thing on our harness or the connection for it, which is bent a little bit out.
Okay. Oh, hey, what's your assessment of Dave and the work he's doing? Is he pretty good or?
Yes, actually, I think it's excellent.
Good.
Very informative for us. And like I said, he has helped me out a lot with everything that we did need. And I am working on it slow, but it's getting done what he had asked for.
All right. So as you know, we're happy with what he's doing. That's good to know. All right.
The only big thing that he had mentioned was still closing in lots of cap.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
The only thing that he really mentioned on the safety issue is still a lot to cat. He wants us to close that in.
Right. Okay, but I mean, a lot of the stuff, he came a year ago the first time and gave us a pretty big list, and a lot of stuff has gotten done in that period of time, so it's good.
That is on the capital budgets list, isn't it, Howie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we didn't get an update report on that one, Danelle, did we?
It's actually just looking at, I think my administrator report, the old one was sent with this last packet.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will send that out. Yeah, I just looked at it and I was like, I feel like I already reported on this stuff. And I'm like, where's my other one? So yeah, my other one, I have my other one, but we did review everything in it. And I will include I'll email you out the updated capital list.
Yeah, I would appreciate that project list.
There's not, I mean, there's not a lot of changes from the last time. There's a couple of other things I think that we're ordering, but we're just waiting on things. I mean, some things have like six weeks that we're waiting on. We've been working on
August. I think the generator you ordered is not till August now. Or did that come in?
It would.
No, we did get one generator in.
Yes.
You got one in. Okay.
Yeah, I think if we were to order generators right now, it's going to be a while. We did have, I don't know if I'm taking this away from you, Howie, but we did have Sussex Rural Electric come out and quote us on, well, I'm waiting for a quote for generators and installation from them. We have a quote from one other company, and then there's another company who didn't provide us a quote. They had a couple more questions that we need to answer for them, for the generators the permanent generators that we were going to install. We just need quotes on that. The one quote I have would require a resolution by the board, which is, no big deal. I mean, it's for 4 units. So we're not talking, $2,000 for 4 units. It's going to obviously be above the pay to play threshold. So we'll need just a resolution on that, but I don't think it's going to be over a bid threshold at all. We'll see what Sussex Rural Electric says though.
And where are we with, Howie, where are we with the rest of the panels that we were going to put in? We got the one done and the other 4?
Yes. Well, no, we have the one done. Jack, correct me. We are on, 6 weeks, 4 weeks on.
Yeah.
I would have to check my email, but they were at least 30 days on back order.
Yeah.
Folks are in by winter. Okay.
Yes, but then on the other thing I had mentioned too, Danelle, which I think would probably be a safer way too, once we do enclose lots of cat, I would recommend moving that 3-foot metal container out of it. So that way we don't have to keep climbing down inside. It would be just like the rest of the lift stations, ground level.
Okay.
Else, Howie?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Discuss connection fees already. So there is someone there from the public. So if you want to open the public for items not on the agenda.
Motion to open to the public for anything that's not on the agenda?
I'll second it.
Okay. This is Paul Weber.
I think you're good. He's not raising his hand, right?
No.
Okay, yeah, then you don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. See, nobody from the public's going to speak. Motion to close the public session.
I'll move to close the public session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. On to commissioners' comments. Start with Kristen.
Thank you. I have no comments this evening.
Okay. Harry?
Unmute.
You're muted.
No comments.
Okay. Andy?
No comments. Happy as a pig in the mud.
Dave?
No, I got nothing.
Nothing? Nothing.
No, I'm good to go.
And I think the stuff that I had written down, what's the status of the pump station design? Like, where are we with that right now?
Oh, I was gonna ask that.
So we're progressing that. The first step, once we get the permit documents ready, which should be soon, the first step is to get authorization from SCUMA on that. They're the first stop for the permitting. So just FYI on that. And just the other thing I was wondering is, but that's just the process. We can't avoid that. Do we feel as though, or do we feel as though Mountain Creek has been adequately informed, or do we need to present anything to Mountain Creek, or did we present it, or are we good as far as that goes, as far as the location and the flows that we're planning for and all that?
So I sent your flow paperwork over to Mountain Creek.
Yep.
And they asked for that in addition to the other items, like the revenue items and stuff. And I know that Scott and Joe wanted to meet with me about that. I needed to finalize things with the auditor before I start throwing out numbers to them. So now that I finalized things with him yesterday, I will reach out to them to set up a meeting and see, and let you, loop you in on the email so we can get something. Just so that, we're all on the same page, just as the location, and we kind of get to go ahead, and obviously we'll provide them copies of everything, right? So that they at least see that it was, moving.
Yeah.
And then I have a question, because this is the first time I've done anything on H2 loans. You have to upload everything onto H2 loans as well, right?
I don't say when we submit permits, let me check if they want that or not.
Okay.
That I don't know. I don't know if they don't care basically until we're done with the permits, for example. I'll find out.
Okay. Thank you.
And I guess last for me, and if this can't be discussed now, we can hold it to another meeting. I don't know if it can or not. I understand there was discussion last meeting in regard to somebody working for DPW and MUA at the same time. That's something that was going to get cleared up.
Specifics would be discussed in an executive session.
Okay.
I'm looking to have, I'm going to work with Rich on something.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
it's still in progress.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I need to know. Anybody have any parting comments? That sounds like a no to me. So meeting adjourned. I'll see everybody next time.
Motion to
close the meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night, all.
Good night, everybody.
Hi.